Clark Lea is assembling a stellar portal class, and he is looking to maintain this momentum as he plows forward.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the world. We have a great episode for you guys today. I'm your host, Corey Burton, and we're going to talk a little hoops in the third segment. Is this team for real? I think they are. But there's a lot of optimism, surrounding this portal class, who we've landed and who is on the hook, because, I think there's a lot of momentum with Clark Lea in this group. They're having a lot of great visitors. The feel is a lot different. And coming off a 10-2 season, of course it is. We're going to talk about that. Boo Carter, what's going on with his commitment, Corey Thomas, Nitro Tuggle, all visited last night and went to the Alabama Vandy game, which was absolutely electric. So very excited about all that. We're going to break down all the portal optimism, why there's optimism, who they're optimistic about, what it all means. We're going to break it all down with the on this episode of Locked On Vandy. Bear with me, guys. My voice is completely gone. I'm mustering up every bit of strength to deliver this show. I'm getting over some illness, so my voice is. This is kind of like the last fight for the illness. I'm not sick, but my voice is gone. So bear with me on that as I have to pretty much shout this entire episode just to get something out. So thank you for your patience there. This episode is brought to you by Rougiette. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now is the time. Head to rougiette.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rougiette ready. Feel present. Feel confident. Feel ready. Now, this portal class already is outstanding. You've got some big-time weapons, and I think you've got some highly coveted guys, and you've filled a lot of positions of need so far. I think there's obviously more to go. There's more meat on the bone there for this class, and visitors are coming, and the quality of visitors that are coming are really good. And the competition that, the schools that we're competing with for a lot of these targets are really good situations, really good programs. So Vanderbilt's been in the mix for a lot of people, and that's exciting. And if we can get some of these people, which we do feel good about that, it's also going to be exciting. So it's a stellar class so far. I mean, it started a little slow, honestly. Schools were getting, the first day the portal opened up, schools were getting commitments and things like that. And it almost started to feel like Vanderbilt was going to get left out, or not left out, but like kind of left behind a little bit. And then Javante Connor, he committed on Sunday, like Sunday night, and that kind of got the ball rolling a little bit. And then Bo Johnson, and then Kobe Sellers, then and then Tavon Carter, like those guys, or Talon Carter. I mean, those guys were, on Monday, those guys came in, and then of course you get all the visitors and all the things that are happening. So you get a punter, Tyler Ebner, which is outstanding. I mean, you're getting the pieces that you need. You're going out and being successful in guys that you're targeting, being able to get visits and being able to, if you don't sign them, get down to the wire so that, inevitably if they hit the portal again, you have a chance of getting them maybe the third time they're in the portal. I don't know, or the second time they're in the portal, depending on who they are. But it's been a great class so far, and there's a lot of optimism surrounding Nitro Tuggle. He made a post, tagged me in the post with a picture of with him and Clark Lea. I mean, he's beaming ear to ear. I mean, he went to probably one of the best atmospheres Vandy's had in quite some time at Memorial. He went to that basketball game. So like, that's got to fire you up. Like seeing another athlete in another sport excel at Vanderbilt University, which doesn't happen all that often. You get a team that, finished extremely well on the football field. 10-3 is a great record. And they're looking to build that momentum there. You get a basketball team that's still undefeated. They're 2 games into conference play now. They're still undefeated. You got a women's basketball team that's the same way. And you just got a lot of optimism surrounding this baseball. There's a lot of promise around Tim Corbin's bunch, the Vandy boys. There's just a lot happening with the vibes at this university, and it's showing in recruiting. Like, recruits want to be here. They want to be a part of that. And it's not just, and people like to flash results up from the field. People like to say, oh, the with Nitro Tuggle, the record, Vandy's 5-30 against South Carolina in the last 35 matchups. Okay, well, what happened in the last one? Well, you shellacked them at Williams-Brice. Yeah, and I get it. That a lot of that team has left. And a good chunk of Vandy's team has left. But when it comes down to recruiting, it goes well beyond the results on the field. There's a lot of things out there because you've got to be comfortable in your situation. You've got to be well used in the scheme. Like, you make the scheme. Like, there's a lot of things. Comfortable in the city. You get a good feel for NIL. You get a good feel of the university, the culture around with the students, what's happening with other sports. Is it, are the other sports starting to become successful? Does that have impact on the overall vibe of the campus? Does it have impact on the overall success of recruiting? Yes, it does. Because if everyone starts winning, you've got a very supportive administration with Chancellor Diermeyer and Candace Lee, and you've got the structure is finally there. And no one has experienced this Vanderbilt yet, except for this past year's team. No one has experienced this at Vanderbilt, has ever experienced this level of support across the board. They've always been fighting against administration because administration for a long time hasn't cared about athletics. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they haven't cared. And for that reason, they haven't been successful because they haven't put the resources into it. They're just like, oh, we'll just get whatever we get. We're an elite school. And Clark Lea is showing that you can be both because he played here. He understands what it's like to sit in those classrooms. He understands what it's like to be here in Nashville playing at Vanderbilt University. He understands the culture of that all. And he understands how, because he lived it, he understands how to build that culture. And he's starting, that ball is rolling. And so Ja'Cory Thomas, it's all quiet on that front. I don't know where he stands or what he's thinking. Maybe he's thinking he wants to commit. Maybe him and Nitro have gotten on the phone and say, hey, look, man, let's both show up and let's both blow the lid off this thing, right? And that's very, very possible. We feel really good about Nitro Tuggle. There's a vibe there. It just seems like he's just happy. He's comfortable. He's, I feel like he had a good rapport with Coach Lee. And if you walk out of Memorial Gym last night, unless you were an Alabama fan, you felt really good about the direction of this basketball program. You felt really good about what that does to the overall vibe on campus. So I feel good about Nitro committing. Now, he could commit elsewhere, right? There's no inside information that I'm basing this off of. It's just a feeling that I have that I think too many good things had happened while he was here that I think he's going to commit because Vanderbilt has the money. They can match whatever, if they want to, they can match whatever South Carolina offered. And Nashville can match and maybe even improve whatever Columbia has to offer as far as like places to live. So I just feel good about Nitro. Boo Carter, he visited, big time safety, transferred from Tennessee. Of course, obviously there's talk about his off the field stuff and all the stuff that surround him and going with him. Vanderbilt obviously is looking into that. They wouldn't have taken him on a visit if they weren't considering it. So they're looking into to see if these red flags are nothing more than just Tennessee being sour grapes and not wanting him. And so, I think there's a little bit to it, but is it something that they're willing to take a risk on? They're probably in contact with Boo, but it's a scenario where maybe the juice is worth the squeeze on that. Maybe it's not, but they're looking into it. They're seriously considering, and that would be, you lose Randon Fontenette, that could be a replacement where you're like, okay, yeah, Randon, we love you, we appreciate you, you did a lot of great things here. Boo Carter, you're next, man. Like, that could be the scenario. But it's down to Vanderbilt and Colorado. I think Colorado's going to make a really nice pitch. Coach Prime is difficult to say no to, and Coach Prime is good at what he does, bringing guys in the portal. So he's going to make a great case for Colorado. So that'll be a tough competition. But we'll see kind of where it shakes out with Boo Carter. We'll know probably sometime this weekend about all these guys. I'm excited. If we can get all three of them, that would be a walk-off grand slam, even though we got some other guys on the hook. But that's going to be exciting. You've got an FCS freshman All-American offensive lineman that you're welcoming into a visit. So that's exciting as well. So I'm very, very pumped at the direction that this thing is going in, and I'm really excited that Vanderbilt is just they're starting to get it, which is refreshing. They're starting to get it, and the offensive lineman I was talking about is Vuger Jean Jameau. He is the pride of Hillsborough. Actually, he's a local guy, so very excited about that. They're going to host him this weekend. He's got I think our direct competition with him is Mississippi State. Oklahoma State, he's already been there as well. So that's I think the two schools we're looking at there. He's currently at TSU, so he's right down the road. So he has to know, like, he has to feel that vibe, right? He has to feel that local pride that you just can't help but pick up on, right? So what does all this mean, really? Like, what are the effects? What are the ripple effects of this? Like, how does this affect the freshmen? How does this affect high school recruiting? What about all of this wave of optimism? Why is it good? What does it say? What does it mean if you want to project it onto next season? What does that mean? We'll talk about that next. But first, let's talk about something men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life, it just doesn't switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rougiette Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rougiette Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rougiette Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in one mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rougiette Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in one formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. You connect with board-certified doctors online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch, and most men are ready in about 15 minutes on average, so you can stay present, confident, and in control when the moment is right. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rougiette Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. If you want to be part of the Everydayers Club, you should just make the jump, right? If you're already an everydayer, just make the jump to the Everydayers Club. You get access to a members-only Discord channel, ad-free audio, and it's just $5 a month. Or if you want to pay annually, it's $50 a year. So you get all that access, and it's absolutely awesome. You get to interact with fans from all different parts of the Locked On stratosphere, and you get to interact with other Discord channels, and it's a really, really fun thing to be able to talk about. So go to lockedonvandy.supercast.com, which is right down there in the description and the show notes, and just make sure you check that out. And be a part of that. So, and also make Locked On SEC your second listen. Chris Gordy is phenomenal. So anyway, but you have all this optimism, right? Nitro Tuggle, he's on commit watch as far as I'm concerned. I feel good about that. Ja'Cory Thomas, if he was there, it's hard not to think you feel good about what he witnessed and what he experienced on his visit. You don't really know who's in the mix for him, but there's got to be some optimism there as well. Like, you got to feel good about getting them both, because you lose Trey Richardson. You already needed that outside. You already needed that receiver spot as well. Why not both of them come in? Join Junior Sherrill. You have a nice, really good 3-level receiving core with some young guys in the wings to back you up. You got to feel good about Boo Carter, even though Colorado's going to be a tough out. But, what does this mean for the program moving forward? Like, what does this say about the program moving forward? Because there's a lot of talk about things being a fluke. This 10-win season that Vanderbilt just had was a fluke. And, it was. And the running joke is, man, you had the best season in your program's history, and you lost in the Relier Quest Bowl to Iowa, right? And where does that leave the program? Well, I mean, there's a lot of history of ineptitude for this university when it comes to football, but that history is just that, history. And the trend right now, if you look at how Vanderbilt progressed through this season, if you look at how they finished in recruiting, because they would have been way lower had they not gotten Jared Curtis and Owen Cabell, they would have been way lower. So they finished strong in recruiting, because a lot of that class was still based on the hope that they could be more than a consistent 6-6, 7-5 team. And when Vanderbilt proved that, hey, they're capable of going beyond that, then the recruiting started picking up again. And I think most of your momentum is going to be felt in this 27 class, which have started this year with this bunch. And when things became a little more real, that feel around that recruiting class became a little more real, and people are starting to realize, hey, maybe, especially the local kids, right? Especially the in-state kids, not just locally in Nashville, but the in-state kids too as well. Like Shelby Carter out in Bartlett, linebacker. Dude, I don't know what's going on at Bartlett and what's in the water over there, but like they must have like a genetic lab that they produce linebackers in, because holy cow, right? Those linebackers are unbelievable coming out of there. So I'm very excited if we can get him from Bartlett. That would be amazing. It'd be a nice little pipeline, right, from in the Memphis area. So that would be kind of fun. But you got like Amari Sanders, who for like 3 days was the highest rated recruit Vanderbilt's ever gotten a commitment from. So there's that, and then Jared Curtis obviously flipped over and signed, but. You're getting some real prospects now, and you're in the mix for a lot of them, and you're in the conversation for a lot of them. So, yes, the on-field stuff has improved with your improved approach to the portal. You went from 7-6 to 10-3 with your new approach, with your new level of support, and with the admin continuing to back you more and more and more. It shows that you're on the upward trajectory, because Chancellor Diermeyer went to bat for you when he was lobbying for the college football playoff. I don't think he would have done that. I don't think the past chancellor would have done that, right? It shows that he's ready to support, and he's already supporting, right? So the offseason is going well. You're getting guys to realize that Vanderbilt is a good option. And these offers aren't like you're not wrestling a guy away from Toledo. No offense to Toledo, but you're not wrestling. You're not competing with Illinois State for a commit, which they were in the national championship in FCS. So, I mean, they're a good program, but you're not, you're fighting with Colorado, you're fighting with Louisville, you're fighting with Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Auburn. Like, you're fighting with conference foes a lot. You're fighting with, your surrounding ACC programs for guys. Like, you're getting higher quality transfers, and you're getting a lot of attention. And that's going to snowball into a lot of momentum coming into spring practice, because you get these guys in camp, and you get Jared Curtis in camp and ready to dice some things up. Like, you're going to get a lot of momentum and a lot of competitiveness, and the practices are already competitive. The system and when I say the system, I mean like the overall system of operation for Vanderbilt football improved greatly over the last 2 years. And that's only going to get better because Clark Lea is going to get more comfortable. And then that's going to, and you play a tough schedule, and you're going to play a 9-game SEC schedule next year. So is there going to be a little regression? Well, when you lose that many players, that's maybe to be expected, but you just don't know, right? Because other teams are going to regress too sometimes, and some teams will progress based on what they have coming back. Some will regress based on what they lost, and some will you think would regress but actually progress because what they lost versus what they replaced with in the portal. And Vanderbilt could be that team that, despite losing a bunch, depending on how this portal class shakes out, and I won't fully judge it until the portal closes, you won't get a full idea of kind of where you can project them for next season until you figure out what they replace their positions with in the portal. So but there's a lot of optimism. I feel good about it. I feel good about where we stand with some of these guys. I feel good about the scouting and the identification of prospects and getting them on campus quickly for a visit and getting these guys to actually say, I'm going to visit Vanderbilt. Whereas, hey, I'm flattered versus, hey, I'm flattered Vanderbilt offered, but I'm not going to visit. I'm going to blah, 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 whatever college, right? So that's an improvement. So things are the arrow's pointing up for sure, and we should feel good about that. And speaking of something that the arrow's pointing up for, that game was insane last night. That game was exciting. It was great. And anytime you can send Bama home spewing a lot of excuses, that's always a fun thing to do. Is this team for real? I threw out some pretty bold stuff with Isaac Shade last night on, or it published this morning on Locked On College Hoops. So am I crazy? I don't think I am. I think there's some potential there. We're going to talk about it next. First, I want to talk about FanDuel. The wildcard round is here. FanDuel officially is in playoff mode, and every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each day, you see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack the first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. Doesn't matter. The boost gives you more juice on the bets that you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. And that's my favorite part about it, because they're not like pre-building a parlay for you and say, here, play this if you want to win big. It's, hey, what do you like to bet? Oh, you just want to take Jacksonville with the spread? Okay. Here, throw this profit boost on there. You can do it. And I might actually take Jacksonville with the spread. Speaking of which, I need to find a team to root for, to borrow during the playoffs so I can make this thing interesting. But anyway, FanDuel will help me with that too. And you make your picks, you apply profit boost and get even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, wrapping up the show here. Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen. Thank you for making Locked On number one. It's because of you. It's because of you out there that make all of this happen. At Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. If you want to follow along, if you want to like, subscribe, all that stuff, make sure you do so right there at Locked On Vandy. So quite a bit of discussion, by the way, with that Ja'Cory Thomas photo. He not Ja'Cory Thomas, Nitro Tuggle. He tagged me, which was awesome. And there was quite the discussion between South Carolina fans and Vandy fans. They seem worried. They're trying to throw out a lot of like desperate attempts. But for once, it seemed like the Vanderbilt fans were the ones that were in control of that conversation. It was pretty unique because that doesn't always happen. But proud of the Vandy guys that jumped in on that thread and really made that conversation go in Vanderbilt's favor. So, but speaking of things going in Vanderbilt's favor, Vanderbilt's basketball program with Mark Byington, dude, I don't know. You got to lock him up, dude, because like you need to, as Teddy KGB said in Rounders, pay that man his money because he is earning it 100,000,000,000%, right? This team is elite. This team is electric. This team is complete. It is a complete basketball team that can hit you in a lot of different ways. And that type of versatility is ripe for making a real run. Now, I said on Isaac Shade's show, Locked On College Hoops, I mentioned the fact that there's potential for a number 1 seed going into the tournament. Like I said, that's on the table, and that's very much a possibility. This team is playing like a number 1 seed right now. There's a lot of basketball left. There's a lot of things that have to happen, but it is on the table because this team is dynamic. And when Duke Miles is full strength, that's going to be even better. If they can stay out of foul trouble, it's going to be even more of a real possibility. Tyler Tanner's a star. He is an absolute star. You could see it last year, but he was a little small. He was getting knocked around. Him and Jason Edwards were kind of those two like crash test dummies where they drive in the lane and they just get put down. And that's not happening right now with Tyler Tanner. He's staying with it and he's getting to the rim and he's scoring. And it's great to see. And it's great to see that this team can score in multiple ways. Like last year, I felt like if they weren't shooting well, they had no chance. And especially shooting from behind the arc. And this year's team, I feel like if they're not shooting well behind the arc, then okay, well, they'll just run the game inside until they can get hot. Or they'll drive with the guards. They'll score through the guards as they drive, as they get to the basket, so they can play at the rim. They can play behind the arc. They can play defense. They can play transition basketball. Like they can do a lot of things to hurt you in a variety of ways. And that's what makes this team very, very dangerous because last year's team, you didn't have any presence in the paint. So that kind of was out because McLaughlin couldn't really do it by himself. And there wasn't really anybody down there that was any real threat. You couldn't rebound. You couldn't alley-oop. You couldn't get guys to, get the ball on the block, back their defender down, turn around and hit a little jumper or turn and dunk it. Or you didn't have any dominant play down there. You didn't really have any mid-range shooting last year. And you had spotty at best 3-point shooting. And you had guys that had to take on multiple roles that couldn't really fit into any sort of specific role, so they couldn't do anything. And they couldn't seem to get any momentum. But when they were hot from behind the arc, they were a different team. They could play. They didn't need to rebound. And every once in a while, McLaughlin would have a good rebounding night. But for the most part, like they got into the tournament on defense, transition, grit, and some nights where they got hot from behind the arc. This year's team, where it's different, is they dictate the tempo of the game. They force you to play their style of basketball. It just felt like for Alabama, outside of a few minutes right there, right after half, and maybe right before half, it just felt like Vanderbilt was in control of this game, and Alabama was just trying to get their bearings. And that's for road teams, that's playing like that and getting in a situation like that is not difficult to do because that's what home court advantage is all about in college basketball. Those environments make it easy to get lost, to get your bearings all out of whack, right? And you're having to kind of play catch up and chase the game a little bit. And Vanderbilt did a good job of making sure Alabama was chasing the game for longer than they wanted to. And then Philon goes out, and that didn't help. But Vanderbilt took advantage of all of that. And injuries happen in sports, and you just got to roll with it, right? If Tyler Tanner goes down, the next guy's got to come in and step up. And is there going to be a little bit of a drop-off? Yeah. Are they probably going to lose that particular game? Yeah. Is it an excuse? No, but it is a reason. I mean, I don't know that Philon is worth 6 points difference. I don't know that they win that game or not win that game. It's hard to project that, but it just, this team is for real, I think, and it's exciting to watch. And they're going to create a true home court environment now at Memorial, which is what you wanted to do. and then you can start winning those games and start dominating opponents at home, and then work on being a road team, because you're going to have played in some tough road environments this season. So you're going to have to kind of figure out how to start fast on the road, which, you know, you haven't really been tested on the road too much. Most of your big games were on neutral courts, or, you know, Wake Forest was probably Memphis was a kind of a tough road game. And Wake Forest is usually a tough road game, but they're not. I don't think they were this year. But anyway, that's all I got. That's about all my voice can muster, to be honest with you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of Locked On Vandy. Portal Talk is going to dominate this thing, right? Hopefully, the next time I see you, all of these guys have committed. The next time I see you, I actually have my voice back. That would be amazing. And Saturday, this basketball team hosts LSU. That's going to be another, like, hey, you go out and throttle LSU, you're for real, right? Because you do it back. You beat Alabama, you beat up on South Carolina, you beat Alabama, and you throttle LSU. There's no flukiness there. It's just becoming routine if that happens. So that's a hope for this game coming up this weekend. But until next time, make sure you become part of the Everydayers Club. Join that. And I got asked, did Locked On Vandy make your Spotify Wrapped? Well, if it did, if you want to prove it, make sure you send a screenshot to and tag the National Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football. Until next time, have a great weekend. Anchor down.